Could the Miami Heat plant the flag by landing the top overall prospect in the NBA draft, Cooper Flagg? Well, an NBA analyst actually said that he wants to see Cooper Flagg, the forward from Duke, end up going to the Miami Heat. And boy, would that be something that would change this franchise around. Now, that NBA analyst is actually, first things first, Fox Sports' Nic Wright, who was on his show talking about the Jimmy Butler drama and talking about the Miami Heat, talking about the NBA draft and the shocking poor season that the Heat have had. And he actually said that, in referring to Flagg going to Miami, saying that I feel like Miami got screwed by Jimmy Butler, and I think that would be a little vindication for the situation. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on the matter, but just quickly wanting to point out here, if the Heat were somehow able to land the number 1 overall pick in the lottery and draft Duke's Cooper Flagg, it would quite literally be a fever dream. It would feel like we won the lottery, which is why it's called the NBA lottery, right? Because that is the type of prospect this player is. We're going to dive into him and how likelihood this is actually in just a second. But we are nearing the end of the month of March, and we are trailing the Knicks now in our sub battle by 125 subscribers. Hit that sub button for daily Miami Heat content. We have 8 games left in the season. We're going to be live for each of those games as well. So hit that sub button. Join us for the top Heat content on YouTube. All right, before we get into Cooper Flagg, I did want to go a little bit and do a quick intermission, because when Nic Wright refers to the Heat getting screwed in the Jimmy Butler situation by the way he handled the exit and ultimately requesting a trade, him getting dealt to the Golden State Warriors, he says the Heat got screwed. I actually don't think they got fully screwed in this situation, because I think the Heat are also to blame for how things ultimately unfolded. Remember, Jimmy Butler said just a week ago that he was never going to sign an extension. And it's been this kind of animosity between him and the front office since last May. Well, if the Heat actually knew that was the case, then they could have just traded Jimmy Butler in the offseason and got a better return for him rather than letting it play out the way it did. So to me, yes, Jimmy Butler hurt the Miami Heat in a big-time way with how he was acting, but the Heat also let it get there, and if they knew it was going this way, they could have acted first. All right, but let's get into the reason why you probably clicked on this show, and that is Cooper Flagg, because he is the number 1 overall prospect in the NBA draft for a good reason. This is a freshman phenom who's the youngest player in the draft, 18.2 years of age, averaging 19, 7, 4, shooting incredibly efficient from the field, while also playing elite defense. This guy, I know this word gets thrown around a little too often. Cooper Flagg is flat out generational. He is. He would be able to transcend your basketball team, whether it's the Miami Heat or any other team that ultimately selects him in the NBA draft, overnight. That's the type of winning basketball that he plays, both on the offensive end and even more impressively on the defensive end. This is also one of the most competitive players that you will see if you turn on the TV and have been watching the NCAA tournament or want to watch the Final Four, because Duke is in the Final Four. You will see the passion, the competitive spirit he brings to the table every single game, which is something I know the Miami Heat value quite a bit. And before we continue on with the show, I know a lot of people want Cooper Flagg. I've been on Team Tank, but what say you? Would you lose the remaining 8 games of the season that the Miami have? All 8, 8-game losing streak to end the year, if it meant the Heat were ultimately going to land Cooper Flagg. So this means no playoffs, no play-in, no. Lose all 8 games and get Cooper Flagg. Let me know your thoughts down below. As we continue to talk about Flagg as a prospect, I mentioned it. He's the youngest player in the entire draft. That is insane to me. The best player is the youngest, 18.2 years of age. He's 6'9", so he plays that 3-4 kind of hybrid wing spot, which is so crucial in today's NBA, and he's got a really good wingspan too. +4, 7'1" wingspan. He is someone that is able to get in the passing lanes, deflect passes, reject shots at the rim. He's a wing, but he is so good at coming off of the weak side, helping the on-ball defender and just swatting these shots out of bounds. He is unbelievable, averaging, I think, about 3 stocks a game, average combining steals and blocks per game. But this is one of the best freshmen that we have seen in college basketball history. Think about this statistic, and shout out to ESPN Research for sharing this stat. Flagg became the 4th Division I freshman, joining Kevin Durant, CJ McCollum, and Michael Beasley over the last 25 seasons to average about 20 points per game on 50% field goal shooting and 40% three-point shooting in the respective conference play. So not for the season, but for the ACC. And I will go a step further. There is another freshman, not named KD, not named CJ McCollum, not named Michael Beasley, shout out Beasley, by the way, that he will join in terms of all-time great pantheons. It's Carmelo Anthony. Remember, Carmelo Anthony was a true freshman, went to Syracuse, and was the number 1 player on the team that won the national championship when Cuse bought down the Kansas Jayhawks. He has been looked at as the best one-and-done player in college basketball history. I think if Cooper Flagg and the Duke Blue Devils win the national championship this season, Flagg will be looked at on par or if not better than Carmelo Anthony as the top freshman to ever play college basketball. That is the type of season in terms of defense, offense, efficiency, contributing to winning basketball that we have seen from Cooper Flagg. It's truly unbelievable. And he would do that to the Miami Heat instantly by some act of God where the Heat ultimately become the number 1 team picking in this draft and get Cooper Flagg. Do you understand how quickly this team would be rebuilt? Like, you would have Tyler Hero. You would have Bam Adebayo. You would have Khalil Ware. Because Flagg could play the 3. So you could have a front court of Ware, Flagg, Bam, with Hero in the backcourt. You would, in year 1, immediately become a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. I'm being so dead serious. And then if you were able to capitalize on some other moves, you would have multiple tradable picks. You would still have 3 tradable first-round picks. You would have the Warriors pick. You would have 2030, 2032, expiring salary, and Andrew Wiggins, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, to also acquire maybe another high-level starter. Like, you would be able to shape your basketball team to whatever you wanted on the back of Flagg, Hero, Bam, and then you have all those assets to make more moves. It would change this Heat team, organization, the history, the future. It would be unbelievable, but it's not very likely, and I'll explain why here in just a second. But we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the number 1 daily fantasy sports platform that I play every single day. All you do is pick more or less on 2 or more player stat projections, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash right now. And baseball season has officially begun, so combine your favorite basketball players with people from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. You can combine professional players with collegiate as well. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. They have many different weekly promotions, one of them being Taco Tuesday, one of them being Flex Friday. For example, each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. They have flash deals that go on throughout the weeks as well. I have an entry for the action in the association on Sunday. More than James Harden, 23.5 points. Less than Kyle Kuzma, 1.5 3-pointers. And more than Jalen Duran, 2.5 assists. Just one example of how you can play PrizePicks right now. So join me and the millions of others on PrizePicks. Download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, the last thing I'll go here on Cooper Flagg is ultimately his player comp, because we've talked about him as a prospect, and this is what NBA people have started to say Flagg is going to become or resembles. How ridiculous is it he's being compared to Kawhi Leonard? I get it because he's a wing who plays on both sides of the ball at the extreme level, but I got to be honest, I think Flagg's ceiling is higher than Kawhi Leonard's. Yeah, higher. And I know that might be ridiculous to say because when Kawhi was at his peak, he was a top 3, top 5 player in the game and a number 1 on a championship-winning basketball club. But here's the thing. Cooper Flagg is better offensively at everything than Kawhi Leonard. Think about that. I know Kawhi Leonard, at his peak, was one of the best mid-range shooters of all time. Seriously, he is, all time. But Flagg is a better passer. He is a better finisher inside. He is a better three-point shooter. Like, this is a player at 18 years of age that already possesses the ability to go out there and probably give you 18 to 20 points a game in the NBA. When he gets NBA spacing, are you serious? when he's able to improve his strength and conditioning, because he is just 18 years of age. Like, when you go back to the last summer, like, think about this. Remember when the select team played in scrimmage the Olympic team? Well, Cooper Flagg was on the select team. And all the reports coming out of that was that Cooper Flagg was the best player on that select team playing the Olympic squad. It was also ridiculous is that they also said Jaime Jaquez Jr. was playing the best alongside Flagg, and we know how bad Triple J has been this year. But either way, that's how good he was a summer ago. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type of prospect, just like Victor Wembanyama a couple years ago. But the issue is, it's not going to happen. And I hate to go on this long swan song gushing about Cooper Flagg. He was the consensus number one, no doubt number one pick. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately, for the Miami Heat. This 4-game win streak has ruined everything. It has, because here's the updated draft standings as of filming on March 30th, 2025. You see it. The Heat have won 4 in a row. I don't know how they did it, but they did. They beat the Hornets, the Warriors, the Hawks, and the Sixers. And now they share the 10th overall odds for the number one pick with the Chicago Bulls, each of them having an 11.7% to go into the top 4 and a 2.5% to land the first overall pick. Remember, just last Saturday, they had the 8th best odds, which, as you can see, would be a 26.3% chance to land in the top 4 and a 6% chance to get Cooper Flagg and the number 1 overall pick. Now, there are only 1.5 games out of the 8th spot, so there is a world where they get back into there if they lose a lot of these final 8 games. But with how the Blazers and Spurs are playing and the Heat's relatively easy schedule down the stretch, I would have to assume them and Chicago are likely going to be battling it out for that 10th overall spot in the lottery in the final 8 games of the season. And let me ask you this, folks. This is a prediction. With the Heat winning 4 straight, granted, 2 really bad teams in Philadelphia and Charlotte, good win against Golden State, and a good win against the Hawks as well. Will the Heat make the playoffs? Not the play-in, the playoffs. This would require them to make the play-in, win the first game against the Bulls, and then win against the loser of the Hawks and Magic. Make or miss. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I'll say this, and I kind of just mentioned it. This winning streak has cost us dearly. It has. I hate to be the guy that is negative and shitting on the team after winning 4 straight games, but I'm not going to be fooled by March basketball. I'm not. I'm sorry. It is the most ridiculous month of the year. You have Kobe White winning back-to-back Eastern Conference Players of the Week, averaging 30 a night. You have Quentin Grimes averaging 27 points per game, shooting 40% from 3 and 50% from the field in the entire month of March. This month is the most, Twilight Zone month of the year in the NBA. These random players just start playing unbelievable. And these teams that stink start to bench their players. They play the scrubs. And the bad teams play worse. And the middle of the pack teams win games and have players go crazy. I'm not getting fooled by this 4-game winning streak. So I wanted to look at some draft targets here to give you at around that 10 range where Miami might be picking, instead of winning the lottery and going up. Now, maybe they win the lottery and move up, which would be awesome. But I doubt it. I think Agor Demen, Jace Richardson, Jeremiah Fears, Con Kneppel, and Liam McNeely would probably be 5 prospects I would hone in on with the 10th overall pick. I know some people might mention Derek Queen or Kaman Malawach, the big men, because backup center will be a need for the Heat this upcoming offseason, but I would not be taking a center top 10 if he's going to be backup, even though I do like those 2 as a prospect. I think you should be looking for someone that could fit next to Tyler Hero as the starting 1, moving Hero back to his more off-ball role. Demen is a very intriguing prospect, 6'9", excellent passer, but you wonder about his explosiveness and if he's going to be able to shoot in the NBA. Jace Richardson, son of Jason Richardson, has been playing excellent for Michigan State. 6'2", 6'3", undersized guard, lefty, but he's been improving over the last month and a half extremely well. Talked about Fears a lot. I love Con Kneppel. And Liam McNeely is an intriguing option. Could be a bench 3 and D type of guy that could light it up from beyond the arc. I see a lot of Corey Kispert in Liam McNeely. But let's look at the final 8 games for Miami, because this will ultimately decide where the Heat pick in the draft before the lottery. And it's a favorable schedule. It is. And it sucks to look at, if I'm going to be honest. They play the Wizards twice. They're probably going to win both of those games. They play the Sixers again. Probably going to win that game. They play the Pelicans. Probably going to win that game. So when you look at the schedule, to me, I see 4 and 4. I do. I think they beat the Wizards twice. I think they beat the Pelicans and Sixers. I think they'll lose in Chicago because the Bulls are playing extremely well right now. And I do think they lose 3 straight to Boston, Memphis, and Milwaukee in that 3-game stretch in a 4-day span. But if I'm going to be honest, I could see them winning 1 or 2 of those games too. They won't beat Boston, but Memphis just fired their head coach. Are they playing extremely well? Granted, second night of a back-to-back for the Heat. And then they're playing against Milwaukee, who's without Damian Lillard. So, I don't know. We'll see where things ultimately go. But we will have you covered for every game the rest of the way. Go live on the channel for every game over the next 2 weeks until the regular season concludes. And the Heat will be in a play-in game. We'll be live for that as well. Subscribe for the live shows. Subscribe for the content in between. And when the off-season comes around, we'll be the #1 spot for Heat content as well. So join the channel today.